Welcome back into Talking Fitchburg. Today is a very special show, let me tell you. It's our Fitchburg Historical Society segment, and today we're digging deep into the files and into the history here, and we're talking about the Kellor Store. And special guests today, we have, well, some of the Kellor family here. From number one Kellor, she's saying that it's a big deal here.
Right.
Number one, all Fitchburg. Ladies, thank you so much for coming in. We caught everybody at the right time that your family's in town here. Eileen, you live in Fitchburg or nearby here, and we're glad to have you put all this together for us and learn about a store. You guys got, well, first off, just sitting here as we were getting ready, I mean, I haven't laughed. And I can't imagine getting everybody together in the family. You guys probably have some good times.
Oh, yeah.
But let's set the scene here today. We're going to be talking about the Kellor Store. What was the Kellor Store?
Well, the Kellor Store was in Lakeview, which is a part of Fitchburg. We were at the intersection of Highway B and what we would call Old 14. And it was a general store that was started by our grandfather in, I think, the 1919 or something. Right. He founded a gas station and then turned it into a general store. And it was operated by our father from about 1936 until he died in 1966. Wow. So it was like a general store, gas station, shoes, clothes, groceries, kind of a community gathering spot. So that's my memory, because I was rather young when we ceased operation. But that's my memory of the store. And so
you were just a little girl.
I was just a child. Yes.
And it begins. Marilyn, tell us your experiences at the store. Set the scene. And when you walk in there, what did you see?
Well, you'd walk in and just lots of everything. I mean, you'd walk in and you'd see the groceries, and there were, I think we had like fruit and just fresh fruit and vegetables. Now, I was the oldest, so probably my memories are different. Yeah. I remember, what I really remember is the bulk cookies, because I loved to eat the bulk cookies. I would steal them, but I'd always try to get the little ones because it wasn't so obvious. But if you got the ones with the big marshmallows on top, you knew the one was gone. But that was, I think, yeah, it was being the oldest, and then we all worked in the store. I think I was 9 when I started working there, and Daddy, he paid us, a little bit.
Well, sort of.
Yeah, we got like a.
Well, it sounds like you didn't worry about the pay.
No, I was eating
cookies. Yeah.
Oh my God.
You were eating good.
Oh yeah, Hostess
That's why
pies.
we stopped having cookies. They're in my generation.
I became the little fat girl.
All right, Flo. Well, we're going to stop on that part.
Well, we have photographic evidence that was a true statement. Yeah.
And the sisters pick on the sisters. Okay, Flo, pulling this in. What were some of your favorite memories of the store?
Well, one of my favorite memories was that it was a place where, especially in the summertime, the farmers gathered, and my father was kind of the local person that everybody came and confided in, and I really and we lived in a house behind the store, so what I remember, I started working there when I was 5. I remember very well, marking cans and sorting fruits and vegetables.
Child labor.
Yeah, and we had a crank phone in the house that connected to the store, so if we needed extra people, my father would just crank the phone and we'd run up there. And I can remember literally running with bare feet across the snow into the store. So sometimes you had to have somebody watching the store because my father would be out pumping gas. So our family life and the store life were really one and the same.
Oh yeah.
It's kind of all in one there.
Yeah.
Kind of pretty cool.
And for a while, must have been after I left, but before that, we had an intercom between the store and the house, which was.
Same idea.
Yeah.
Same concept there.
Yep.
That's pretty cool. So you had the gas part of it too, and you had mentioned here that it was a full service, and that was probably common then.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. No.
Sometimes it was a little awkward because I remember we sold right before school started, the local people would come in and get their shoes and their blue jeans, Oshkosh, bagosh. And I can remember so well when I was about 12, having to measure the inseam of one of my classmates. I was so embarrassed.
All right, well, Flo's done. I guess we'll go to Eileen.
Therapy there. Yeah.
Yeah, this is the confessions of the
That's
Kellor Store is
right.
really what's happening
Yes,
here. When you think of today's convenience store and stuff, are there comparisons to the family store that you see today that kind of
I think-
go hand in hand?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, obviously, the accessibility of having everything you needed in one stop and the grocery in the gas station really is the same concept. I think the difference obviously is going to be the economics of it. You know, a little general store, you couldn't really compete market-wise. You couldn't, you know, in fact, the reason the store went out of business was really
Yeah.
places like Treasure Island and Kmart and Farm and Fleet and things that provided an opportunity. So I think that certainly served a similar purpose. Definitely a community gathering spot and a place where people really would know each other. Was certainly known. I still, when I was in college, I worked at what was still Renabaum's before it became Walgreens, down on Park Street, and people would walk in and go, "Oh, it's so good to see a Kellor behind the counter again." So it really was something that was identified in the community that the Kellors were this store. Yeah.
I think, you know, I love the idea of a spot to go to and a gathering, and I feel like that's been depicted in a lot of movies and TV shows.
Yeah.
Like, it was the place to go to get a Coke. And,
You're right.
Yeah,
and-
the baseball
Yeah.
game was always on.
Yes.
People would
Yeah.
sit around and
Yeah.
listen to the game.
I think that's awesome that to be able to hear that from you guys. Tell me a little bit about where did the food come from? The stuff you were stocking, the clothes and stuff. Like,
Oh gosh, there was it Roundy's or Daddy
He
used
went
to.
to some warehouse and would buy the canned goods. And the shoe, I remember when the shoe truck would pull in, was it Johnson or something like that?
Yeah,
It was this
Johnson,
huge
yeah.
truck.
Johnson Endicott.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And they-
Endicott Johnson.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
sorry.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you know, I don't know where he got the vegetables and the fruits and stuff. I really don't. But,
I remember the bread truck
oh yeah,
when we were.
and the milkman too. They
Yeah.
had keys to the store.
Yeah, they could
So
during the
so
day.
they could, yeah,
Go in.
drop.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
You had mentioned too that rail wasn't too far away. It sounds like the railroad being there and the cars coming by and stuff because it was a main thorough.
Yeah.
So you probably got to meet a lot of cool people too passing through.
My mother swears that she put gas in the tank of one of the gangsters. From,
Yeah, coming
Oh,
up.
really?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh boy.
Yeah,
Oh,
which
yeah.
is not unlikely.
Yeah,
at
right,
all. Yeah,
that's
I mean,
what
they
she
were
could-
Yeah.
coming
She
out.
said, looked in the back seat of the car, and there are all sorts of guns back there covered up with. Oh
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
And then also, when a lot of these families, when they're coming up from Illinois, had kids, and they'd want a picnic or whatever, but they'd have to warm a baby bottle. So we would take it back to our house and warm it up.
Oh my gosh, that is so cool.
We were
Yeah.
full service.
We even
Well-
had egg candling back for a while, where
Yeah,
we
we did,
candled
yeah,
eggs.
yeah.
You know, farmers would bring the eggs in, and we'd candle them and sell the eggs. Remember the flour sacks that we had? That we had flour sacks.
I don't remember that.
Well, I do because I'm
I'm
old.
younger.
And then they'd make clothes out. We'd sew clothes out of the empty flour
Yeah.
sacks.
Really? That's
Yep.
incredible.
The Oak Hill was the Oregon Girls' School at that point.
Oh yeah.
So there was, our father was a, like informal deputy sheriff. So if there was an escapee from the girls' school, he'd always be called, and we were supposed to be on the lookout for them. And one time, one of our brothers dressed up in a wig
We all participated in this.
and pretended that he was the girl who was escaped from the girls' school.
But then what happened, he got up to the store and his pant leg fell down. My father was not pleased with that.
No.
Okay. So you guys know how to have fun too.
Yeah.
That's really good. In proximity to, you had mentioned about bigger stores coming in, but what was the nearest store or because I apologize, I'm thinking like where Went Road was and what was downtown Fitchburg or whatever, but how far away were you guys from other stores or something, being that this is kind of like a gathering spot?
Well, Fitchburg didn't really have any stores.
No.
Right.
We're 3 miles from
So
Oregon.
Madison
Right.
or Oregon, yeah.
Fitchburg was very segmented. So Lakeview's on the far east side of Fitchburg, so
Sure.
Wentz Store wasn't something that would have been in our wheelhouse. We didn't go there.
Right.
So for us, the nearest stores, if we were going to go somewhere, would have been in Oregon, or if you were really going to go somewhere, you'd go
Go to
to
Madison.
Wolf Kubley in Madison,
Yeah.
which was on the square at that point.
It's just pretty amazing stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we grew a lot of our own vegetables and some fruit and did a lot of canning. So a lot of it was sort of, self-preservation.
Yeah.
'cause stuff
John
wouldn't be
had
there.
sheep.
Yeah, and Richard did.
Richard too. He had
So there was a farm too attached to the.
Well, we
to
had
the
25
property.
acres of land.
But there wasn't
Yeah.
really a farm. It'd be
No.
And then sometimes we had chickens, and John raised rabbits.
For 4-H.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And our grandmother lived across the street and had the woods and the fields, so the sheep, for example, might have been kept there. So it was, kind of a community on that corner.
Well, I mean, I'd love to sit and chat more about it, but unfortunately, the TV part of this kicks in. I mean, either way, I appreciate you guys coming out and telling us a little bit about it. When you guys are back in town, I would love to have you back on the show someday and go through some more memories. Again, I can't imagine being at a the Kellor family reunion would probably be something to see.
Well, next time we have one, we'll invite you.
Yeah, right.
Yes.
I get a Kellor pass.
Yes. Yes.
Well, thank you so much.
Yeah,
It sounds like it was a pretty cool store and a pretty cool piece of history here in Fitchburg.
Lots of memories, lots of experiences. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much. Nice meeting
Yeah,
you all.
thank you.
And
Thank
look forward
you.
to having you back on the show.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, we'll take a quick break. You are watching Talking Fitchburg.